Part of the process of falling out of addiction with something is falling in love with your life sober from that thing. And that can go for substances, but it can also go for just like anything in this life that you form a really strong attachment to. So for me, I don't drink anymore. I think I'm coming up on like a 1-year anniversary of not drinking, so that's pretty exciting for me. And I don't know, I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but I also think that technically on paper, if you're having more, and this is something that tends to shock people, but I think as a woman, if you're having more than like 5 drinks a week or something, it's a pretty low number before you're technically considered an alcoholic. But obviously in college, everybody just ignores that and they make things super normal that really aren't normal at all. But even for me, I never really thought my relationship with alcohol was that bad. But due to just like medications I was on or like mental health reasons, it just really didn't make sense for me to be drinking alcohol. So I stopped drinking alcohol like a year ago. And then separate from my own personal story, I see a lot on my TikTok For You page these days, stories of women who used to be in active addiction with different things. Like there was this one lady, I think she was talking about her addiction to like Adderall and stuff like that. Somebody else was, and then a lot of people talking about their addiction to like alcohol and stuff like that. And in general, though, something I've noticed as a pattern is that when I see the comment sections, maybe they're describing like a day in the life of back when they were really addicted to whatever they were addicted to, right? And in the caption, without fail, they always put, I'm so thankful for my life now. I'm so thankful for my sobriety now, right? And so I think part of what gives them the strength to stay away from something that used to literally consume them, right? Consume their thoughts, consume their body, consume their reactions, consume their emotions, was really wanting this thing and depending a lot on this thing for whatever dopamine or high that or relief or escapism that it provided for them, right? That made them so addicted to that thing. But without fail, in the caption of these videos or in the videos themselves, these women are always so grateful for the life that they have now. And they're so grateful for the life that their sobriety allows them to live, right? Because they couldn't live that when they were in active addiction to whatever that thing is. And so I won't even necessarily center my story because I don't think I had substance abuse issues necessarily. But like I said, right, part of being sober towards something or letting something go, part of what makes that process easier is falling deeply in love with the person that you are now without that thing, falling in love with the life that you now have without that thing. And I think it's a beautiful analogy that can be applied to all areas of life, which, you know me, I love an analogy. I love different angles, different entry points. And I think that's what a lot of these episodes do. We circle and circle and circle the same point from all of these different perspectives. But ultimately, I think something that gets me really excited in general in life and when I'm thinking is just, okay, I've learned this thing in this one area, but how does it apply to so many other things? So if I have this spiritual concept that I get, how does it apply to the scientific realm? How does it apply to anthropology and people and sociology and psychology? And how does it apply to technical things? How does it apply to the numbers? Like, how can we understand this and apply it to everything? Because I think something that is fundamentally true will always be fundamentally true. And you can understand it from so many different lenses. And then that makes it exciting because then when you talk to new people, there's always an entry point for that new person because you've considered something from so many different angles. But anyways, to get more specific about this episode, right? This idea of falling in love with the sobriety aspect applies really beautifully to anything related to attachment. And you can be attached, obviously, to substances like I was talking about earlier, but you can also be attached to people. Maybe you're attached to a romantic relationship. You're attached to a platonic relationship that's no longer serving you. And you can be attached to things that aren't good for you, the same way people are addicted to things that are horrible for them. You can be addicted to things and people and places and situations and jobs and academic things for the wrong reasons, or they're not bad fundamentally, but they're bad for you, right? So maybe this person isn't an evil human being, but they're not the right person for you. They bring you a lot of sadness in the way that they act and behave towards you, or just like the way they approach life. It doesn't gel with your value system. Or maybe you're studying something because your immigrant parents told you have to study it, or you feel all of this, I mean, maybe you don't have to be an immigrant to relate to that, but you feel all this pressure from your family or from your peers that I have to study this thing, I have to get this kind of job, I have to make this amount of money, I have to drive this kind of car, I have to live in this kind of apartment. And before you know it, you are attaching yourselves to all of these different things, some of them material, some of them for ego purposes, some of them relationship-wise. And people get addicted to these attachments because on the one hand, they serve them. Maybe working this job that you hate gives you a certain amount of money and a certain level of respect from your peers, but again, you hate it. Or maybe studying this degree makes you sound really smart, but you have zero passion for it. Or maybe spending a certain way makes you look really good, but it lands you in credit card debt. Or maybe being in a relationship with this person makes you have a little bit more self-esteem because they validate that you are desirable just because they are with you romantically or whatever it is, but ultimately you're not compatible, and they leave you feeling worse off than you do, more often than you feel good around them, and yet you can't seem to let go because you're in love with them or because of whatever, right? But ultimately, I think a huge process of letting go of the things that don't make sense for us is finding a way to fall in love with the opposite, finding a way to fall in love with the lack, right? Or the disappearance, the vacancy. I think this is episode 23 now, but recently, had an episode talking about vacancies, talking about creating room in your life so that the new things in your life can show up, talking about how you can't build a new life, a new puzzle piece picture of your life with, puzzle pieces from the previous picture, right? They don't fit together. So you need to start the new box. You need to make that transition. And part of that is creating room. So there will be that moment where you get rid of the old picture, you get rid of the old puzzle pieces. There's a gap. You throw that old box away, whatever you don't want, or you hang up that picture and you say it's no longer serving you. You close the chapter in the book, and there's going to be that lack for a second before you fill it up with new things, before you write the new chapter. You might be looking at a blank page, but that's okay. And in the process of filling that chapter, writing the sentence, writing the paragraph, writing the content, writing the themes of this new chapter, building your life again from scratch, accumulating new puzzle pieces, new people, romantically or platonically, new life situations, moving to a new place, starting a new job, approaching your academics in a different way that better serves you, addressing your mental health and prioritizing any issues you might be dealing with, or just being preventative in the care for your mental and physical health, whatever the case may be. As you do that, try to fall in love with it. Try to seek joy in it, right? Because yes, on the one hand, can it feel isolating? Can it feel painful? Can it feel like, oh, I'm missing something and this sucks? Or I miss the old thing because I don't have anything else new in front of me, right? I think a lot of people, they have relationships, and then people talk about getting the rebound person, right? So you're getting over a relationship, so go sleep with someone else, go talk to someone else, go date someone else. Or you have serial monogamists who literally just can't be alone. So the second they lose a boyfriend, lose a girlfriend, lose a partner, the next day, next month, they have a new partner, and they're just constantly jumping from serious relationship to serious relationship or long-term relationship, right? But I think part of the process is finding joy in living without. So obviously there was a reason, if we go back to the substance abuse example, there was a reason why you were addicted to whatever that substance was, if that's a good example for you, or there's a reason you were addicted to that relationship. And I think what makes it difficult also to mourn bad relationships, to talk about that specifically, is that sometimes we just want to hate the person. If it was something that they did that was really bad, or it was a relationship with ups and downs, sometimes, or if it's a situationship, God forbid, because those can be so complex, something with just unfinished business, sometimes we just want to let it, we just are irritated with ourselves that we still see something good in that person. But you have to allow yourself to process your feelings. So there's two things here that we're talking about. You need to be able to process complex emotions, meaning you can allow the fact that you like something to exist in the same sentence, same plane of thought, same reality, same conversation as the fact that you hate aspects of that person or situation, right? So you need to allow the fact that, oh, well, maybe you drank because, I'm not speaking for myself specifically, because if you know me, I never shut up and I'm social all the time. But maybe you drank because it loosened you up, it made you less socially anxious, it allowed you to make better connections, it allowed you to have more fun on the weekends, dance freely without feeling awkward or ashamed or being a wallflower. And those things in particular for you enjoyed. Some people like being a wallflower, and I'm not going to judge the introverts, but maybe that's why you liked it. But at the end of the day, there were also reasons you didn't like it. Maybe you were always getting hungover. Another fun fact about me, I've never been hungover. But yes, maybe it also made you hungover. Maybe it was affecting your mental health because of, the way it messes with there's a word for it, but alcohol is a depressant, right? So maybe it messed with your mental health. Maybe it made you angry. Maybe it made you teary and made you cry a lot. Maybe it made you say things you didn't mean. Maybe it made you black out a lot and not remember the things you were doing, and you were acting recklessly or being dangerous or putting your friends in uncomfortable positions. And being able to hold those two things in the same plane, or to put it into the relationship context for those people out there listening, obviously, that maybe don't struggle with anything substance related or even mental related, but relationship stuff, right? Trying to accept the fact that this person that hurt you, or this person that you need to let go of for whatever, logical compatibility, whatever reason that you've decided, I need space from this person, our season is over, whatever it is, platonically or romantically. Being able to understand that there are reasons you love this person, there are reasons this person played such a central role in your life, even if they didn't, you enjoyed their company, whatever it was, and holding that in the same breath as, but at the end of the day, they hurt me in this way, and I have to have that boundary because I can't love them more than I love myself. Okay? So being able to accept that kind of duality of thought and allowing yourself to have good memories about someone, even if, not letting the bad taint the good, and then also not letting the good rose color the bad to the point where you continue to accept the bad, if that makes sense, right? So allowing yourself to smile when you think about something that was positive related to a situation or a person or whatever it is, while also allowing yourself to cry when you think about things that are not right for you, while still maintaining the boundary of this thing is overall, I've identified, not good for me. And then the second half of the conversation, after you allow yourself to sit with complex feelings, the second half of the conversation is going back to what this episode was originally about, right? Which is this idea that part of getting over something is learning to enjoy not having it anymore. So, of course, you savor the complex emotions. You allow yourself to feel them. You allow yourself to feel them with no judgment. So when you're thinking good things about the person, don't try to convince yourself that you have to hate them, because it just makes everything more painful for you. Because really what's so painful is not necessarily that this person did you wrong. It's that you are bullying yourself. You are saying mean things to yourself. You're not allowing yourself to just feel something and let it go. You want to convince yourself to be angry, or convince yourself to feel whatever opposite emotion to what you're actually experiencing. Just allow it to pass over you like a wave. And then, distract yourself or move into the next moment, and don't, be weighed down by that feeling. Allow it to pass through you like a wave, and then continue on. Almost like you are the observer observing the emotion, instead of being pulled into the emotion and then justifying the emotion with a bunch of thoughts, or negating the emotion with a bunch of thoughts. And your inability to accept the emotion actually then prolongs that emotional state in a positive or negative way, and drags you out of the present. So find ways to bring yourself back to the present. But after doing so, let's go back to this idea that part of what makes it easy to let go of things that are bad for you, even if you were addicted to them. And if you were addicted to something, it's because obviously there was a part of it that was wonderful, that you liked, right? Like, people do drugs because being high feels good. That's why they do drugs. It's not a good thing, but that's the truth. Or people stay with people that are bad for them because the attachment or the comfort of being around someone feels good. But part of being able to release is falling in love with your life without that thing. So falling in love with sobriety, from that person, from that substance, from that situation, from that academic field, or the ego associated with it, the ego associated with a certain job, the ego associated with living in a certain place, falling in love with the without, right? Because I really feel like it is what allows you to feel like the release is not a punishment. When you can't accept the new life that you have, and not just accept it, but embrace this new life that you're living without the thing that you know should no longer be in your life, for whatever reasons you've determined. If you can't find a way to embrace your life without that thing, situation, whatever it is, it makes it feel like every day is a punishment. It makes it feel like every day you just wish you could go back. And eventually you do, because your thoughts are constantly ruminating on how difficult it is to go without that thing, how much you miss that thing, how much you liked that thing, memories related to that thing, memories related to being high off of that thing, substance, person, situation, job, ego, whatever it is, right? And so you're so tied to the past, like, right? Because a second ago we were talking about how important it is to stay in the present. And when you identify with your emotions in a certain way or identify with the past, you're being pulled away from the present. So when you struggle to identify with this new present that you have, find reasons why it substantively is worth accepting, embracing, and being grateful for. Because you don't have that in the present, you revert to the past. You reflect on the past. You miss the days you could do what you wanted and have fun and do the thing that was bad for you because you hadn't really you hadn't really snapped into sense. You hadn't come to your senses related to the situation, so you were still acting stupidly, and the stupidity was fun on a certain level. When you're still identifying with that stupidity, though, you're going to keep being stupid eventually, because you've found nothing in the present worth being joyful over. Nothing in the present that you can see is preserved or improved by the fact that you let go of that other thing, that you created room in your life by making that vacancy, right? Because you've not identified something in the present to latch onto, to enjoy, to savor, that literally only exists because of the thing that you released. Because you haven't found that, you will be attached to the thing. You won't release it. So every day without that thing feels like punishment, feels like, when will I go back to that thing? Until eventually you can't. Willpower alone does not sustain you, right? Especially when that willpower is not even powered by consistent thought, right? Willpower alone of it's just bad for me, let me move on. It can't sustain you when you're always ruminating. And eventually you go back to that thing that's not good for you. You go back to that abusive partner 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, I think is the statistic of times it takes to leave like a narcissistic partner, or whatever the situation is, however many times it takes to quit the thing that you know you need to quit, whether it's a bad habit, a substance, things that are bad for you, bad situation, bad friendship, bad job. I gave a million examples and you know I always do. But ultimately, right, you will go back because you can't find joy in the present moment. You can't find something to latch onto. So that's why I was saying it's so important as you enter sobriety of any kind, as you enter that sobriety, find something rooted in the present that sobriety empowers, that sobriety is a direct, that something in the present that is a consequence directly of that sobriety, because then it gives you something to be grateful for every single day. It gives you something for your mind to latch onto, to focus on. So for someone like me, right, when I go out socially, obviously I'm still exposed to people that drink, people that smoke, people that do all these different things that I don't do. And something that helps is, for one, right, when I did used to drink, and ultimately, even in college, I was never like a party person. I was doing sports, right? So I only drank like once a week. But even then, drinking was not something I should have been doing. I was someone that, for whatever reason, when I drink, clock starts immediately. I have about 3 to maximum like 4 or 5 hours before I just pass out, no matter where I am. So something that's nice about social events now that I don't drink is that I'm not tired. And anyone will tell you, if they meet, like anyone that knows me knows that when I'm drunk, I'm just me times 10, because I'm already very energetic. I don't need alcohol to loosen me up. Arguably, I'm already too loose. I just have a big mouth. I like to talk. I like to socialize. I like to talk to people. I'm curious. I ask a bunch of questions. I'm going to be in your face regardless of whether the alcohol is there or not. I don't know how to be a wallflower. If I'm really in the mood to be a wallflower, I'm at home being a wallflower in my bed. That way I don't have to stand up, okay? So there's no hugging the wall for me. But what I will say is something I'm always grateful for when I go out on the weekend and, you know, people are drinking and I can't drink, is instead of being like, oh, I wish I was on the same level as them, right? That's something you think about a lot when you don't drink, is like, oh, everyone's on this level once they get really drunk and you're not there. Instead of wishing I was at the same level as them, I'm just so grateful that I'm awake, because if I was drinking, I know for a fact my night would have ended way earlier than the people around me. It still ends fairly early because I'm geriatric, like, right? Late 20s, whatever. But like very much in my auntie era already. But what I will say, yeah, it's like, I'm grateful that I can be awake. Like, I'm still myself. I'm energetic. I have my head screwed on straight. I'm not excessively friendly, which I think is something I put myself at risk of, is being excessively friendly to people I actually wouldn't necessarily want to be that friendly to, giving people the wrong idea. That can be a consequence of me drinking. And so when I'm not drinking, I'm grateful to be somewhere with my wits around me, seeing other people be loose, but knowing that, like, if they're saying something they shouldn't say, I get to hear it. Like, even from a nosy, like, this is maybe not, oh, she's a great person kind of justification to give for not drinking. But for me, like, I'm a very nosy person. I love tea. I love gossip. I love the idea that I'm going to remember things the next day too, right? Like, I'm not going to black out or forget anything or get too drunk or say something I don't mean. But when other people do it, I get to see it firsthand. And most of the time, I'm not around people that do that. They still remember their things. Alcohol doesn't affect them as strongly as it affects me. I'm quite a lightweight, or I was, right? But it's fun because it's like, okay, if someone's going to be embarrassing today, it's actually not going to be me. And that's kind of fun for me. So these are things that in the present day, I remind myself of when others are drinking and I'm not, that I know are only possible because I'm not drinking. My energy levels, my ability to hang for long periods of time without feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to drop if I don't go home right this second. My ability to, have my head screwed on straight, not say things I don't mean, not give people the wrong impression, not forget what was said to me, forget what happened. My ability to be nosy into other people's business because not without my prodding, they're going to spill their guts anyway. I get to be entertained by that. I know some people find drunk people really annoying, or people that drink annoying. I don't find them annoying because I like to see other people have fun. And for me, I have fun sober. And I think for some people, like, they're not going to have that level of fun sober. They're just going to be a lot more restrained. And so if other people are having fun, for me, that's exciting and I'm happy about it. And I like that I get to see that and know that I can remember every detail. Well, I can't say my memory is great in general, but remember most of it the next day. And these are all fun things for me. So these are things that I root in my present. These are things that are a consequence of my sobriety. And that's very specific to, obviously, sobriety in an alcoholic sense. But you have to do the same thing for other contexts, right? So, for example, all of my work experience thus far throughout college was in finance. So, investment banking, private equity, hedge fund stuff, portfolio management, all of those kinds of things. And obviously that comes with a level of, prestige. I think my job now still comes with a strong level of prestige in itself. But I will say that for me, I was never doing it for the prestige. I was always doing it for, my own learning experience for certain things. And once I got that learning experience, I was like, okay, cool, right? But something I will say, right, is let me give an example where, because I don't actually have, this I think is not a great example for this specific topic, because it's not like I had to give up finance. I can still go back to finance whenever I want. But if I was to use this as an example, let's say that you are someone that is a classic, like, Harvard sellout, quote unquote, right? Because a lot of people associate doing finance at Harvard as being a sellout, which is so interesting to me because, again, I just like the concept of doing things just because everyone else is doing them is so foreign to me that when people started calling me that, I was like, what? Because I didn't even know anything about finance from the perspective of other people's opinions. I only knew why I wanted to do it. I only knew why my family members had talked to me about it, or my brother had talked to me about it. I only knew my own specific, really self-driven reasons related to it. So when I heard it was a sellout thing, I was like confused. But let's say you were a classic Harvard student. You thought you were going to change the world in some specific way, which same. But, you heard about how much finance paid. You're like, I'm going to do finance, classic, like, sellout, whatever. I think, do you, boo. But whatever, right? Classic sellout stuff, but you hated it, right? Because I thought it was interesting, but you hated it. You hated how long the working hours were. You hated, you can't hate the pay. The pay is pretty good, but you hate how long the working hours are. You don't find the work itself interesting. You don't find the people in the industry interesting or nice to be around. You don't like the work hard, play hard culture. You think they drink too much, whatever. You have all these reasons for why you hate your job, hate your life. Everything about it is miserable, but you did it because everybody else did it and you did it for the paycheck, whatever. Okay, those were your reasons. And then obviously, because you are doing, private equity at Blackstone, everyone, for whatever reason, is like, let me try not to be vulgar, because I have my aunties' voices in my head now. Don't be vulgar, don't swear. But yeah, you don't have people on you, or it's an ego thing, right? So they hear about your position, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so impressed, whatever. Oh my gosh, I'm like overthinking things now. But anyways, yes, right? So you're doing the job, you're getting the ego thing, you're getting the respect thing from your peers. Everyone's so impressed with you and how you got into all these jobs, whatever it is, right? The pay is good, but you have those millions of reasons why you hate it. And ultimately, if you could, and what you really want is to leave. But because of the ego thing, because of the pay, you won't leave because it's what you're used to. And so how do you leave? How do you leave? So so I think what makes it difficult to leave then is if you do leave and maybe you take a job that on paper you enjoy a lot more, you would get your life back, you have work-life balance, you get to see your friends, blah, 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 but pays less. You don't get to have as fancy things, whatever it is. You don't get that same respect. People are looking at you sideways because you left a job that has a lot of prestige. They're assuming all these stories as to why you left. Maybe they assume you got fired instead of you just leaving voluntarily, whatever it is, right? And if in that new present role, all you can think about is, oh my gosh, I used to get paid so much. Everyone used to look at me a certain way. Everyone used to treat me a certain way. Now I can tell people are judging me. And maybe part of these are assumptions. Maybe some of these you experienced firsthand once you made that transition. If after making that transition, you can only fixate on what your life used to be like. And keep in mind, like I said before, it's important to be able to hold complex emotions at the same time, meaning there's a part of you, right? Of course, you enjoyed the paycheck and the financial freedom, but you hated the lifestyle and the work. If all you can do is reminisce positively about the romantic aspects of the job, like the money, to the point where you forget about all the things you had given up while at that job, that you're sleeping too little, your health was hugely disrupted, and all these other negatives. You hated the work itself, you didn't find it interesting, whatever your negative list was. If you can't hold the emotions fairly in your head, all you can do is romanticize the good, say that the bad wasn't that bad, now you have less money, this new role, you can't attach anything in the present moment. Attach yourself to the present moment because you're so attached to the past. What do you think is going to happen? After a year on your lower salary, you're going to start recruiting again, trying to get back into finance because you've gotten to a point where you're so attached to the things you used to have or whatever perceived positives there were in a life that you literally hated, to the point where, well, you don't give yourself any opportunity, don't make room mentally for yourself to embrace and accept and enjoy the present moment of the new things that you have, even if, of course, you had to give up some things. Maybe you didn't even have to give up some things financially, but whatever it is, right? Maybe it's an ego thing only, not a financial thing, because I think financial can be a huge pull for people. But whatever it is, right? Because you're so attached to the past, you don't see anything good in the present. What do? Eventually, you go seeking the past. You go back out and seek a job just like the one you used to have before, if not that exact same one. Same thing with a relationship. You're dating someone, they're horrible to you, you leave. All of a sudden, all you can remember is, oh, we used to go on such nice trips, you used to do these romantic things for me, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm alone, and now, I haven't been laid in a while, and whatever, right? You can't think of anything tangible in the present that feels better than the past because you wouldn't even give yourself an opportunity to take a deep breath and think about the present. You're so obsessed with the past person. You're so obsessed with that relationship. What do you think you're going to do? One day you're going to get drunk. You're going to text that guy. Guarantee you, drunk or sober, one day you're going to go back and text that guy. See if you can rekindle something because you've not allowed yourself to release the person. You're so fixated on that person. So sobriety from that person, from that job, from whatever it is, in order for it to be sustained, you have to make that mindset shift out of the past and into the present and attach yourself to things in the present that only exist because of the thing you released. So the fact that you got rid of that high-powered, high-paying job allows you to now be home at 5 p.m., take your dog on walks, hang out with friends, go outside, see the sunset, see the sunrise. You're not locked in the office all the time. You're not locked and attached to your computer all the time. You have hobbies, you have better relationships with your family, with your friends, whatever it is, right? The job you do now is fulfilling, it's interesting, it's creative, whatever it is, whatever direction you departed towards, right? Even if the money is less or whatever, things you gave up, right? Because there are things you give up when you give up addiction, you give up being high, right? Whatever that is. Once you look for the good in the present moment and attach yourself to that instead, it's a whole new world. And then suddenly, it makes it sustainable to stay away from the other thing. Without that, there is no sustainability. It's all just ticking, time bomb until you go back. It's all just punishment until you revert back to the other thing that you're still convinced serves you in a way that makes the trade-offs worth suffering through. When they're not worth suffering through, and you know that it's not good for you, but you suffer through it anyway because you can't live in the present and embrace the present and at least create room in your present for something good to enter your present for you to attach yourself to, even if it's not there yet. Because maybe you left your job and you don't have a new job lined up, but you have vacancy. But you have to find joy in the vacancy, even the joy of being unemployed, of having the joy of being unemployed. It's not great, obviously, right? But at the same time, you have free time. You have time to think about what you truly want. You have time to pivot if that's what you so choose, whatever that is, right? You have to find a way to enjoy the vacancy or enjoy the new thing that's in your life as a result of the thing that you've let go of. If you don't give yourself room for that real estate to enjoy and embrace the present, you'll fixate on the past, and your release of the past is a punishment until finally you revert back to the job, to the relationship, to the substance. You will revert ultimately, and anything in between is just a break, like a tolerance break, and then you will go back. Yeah, I think that's a good place to land today. Thank you so much for being here. As always, welcome to Live Lumani. My name is Abiamudo. I say welcome to Live Lumani. That's not even the name of this podcast, is it? Welcome to Thinking Out Loud, Live Lumani, whatever. Thanks for being here. If it's your first time listening to the podcast, I hope you'll stay a while, binge some other episodes. This is on the longer side, but a lot of them are a bit more bite-sized. So, if you're looking for a way to fill your day, why not make me the way? Right. So thanks for being here. Don't forget to hit that follow button, turn on the little bell button. I think that turns on notifications. So anytime I post, you'll be notified. I post Wednesdays and Sundays at 1 p.m. West African time. So if you're in Europe or Africa or whatever, around the afternoon, you can expect an episode to go up. If you're in the States, you can expect an episode around the morning time, so like 6 a.m. Central Standard Time or CST. So if you're in that kind of sphere geographically, then expect an episode on Wednesday and Sunday mornings. And then if you're in Australia, Wednesday and Sunday evenings, 8 p.m. If you're in Western Australia, that's when you can expect an episode to come out. Thank you so much for being here and listening to my yapping. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well on anything that I discuss, ideally in the comments so other people can join in. But I love when you guys text me about stuff, call me about stuff, send me voice memos about stuff. I wish there was a way I could make like a voice memo group chat for all of us. I'll figure it out one day. Or any of that, or when you find me on my other social medias, which are all at Live Lumani. And you can check the description box for a beacon link to all of my links if you want to check me out in other places. But definitely reach out, send me a message, drop your thoughts in the comments. And ultimately, if you are in a season of letting go, don't just survive it. Find a way to learn to love who you're becoming inside of that season. I love you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.